Hello and welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. In today's game we are watching a chess classic between Donald Byrne, who was playing with white, and Robert Bobby Fischer, who was playing with black pieces. And what is interesting about today's game is that Bobby Fischer actually gave a grandmaster class on how to attack the opponent's king, because the opponent's king was stuck in the center. This will also show you the importance of castling on time and not leaving your king in the middle of the board. Fischer created an amazing checkmating patterns and crazy sacrifices, and in the end he managed to checkmate the white king with four of his pieces. He traded his queen for his minor pieces and he won the game in an incredible way. So a game I'm sure you will enjoy. If you like this game, as always, please make sure to leave a comment, like and share the video, as it really helps me. And now let's go to the game. So today's game started with knight f3 for white, Donald Byrne, and knight f6 was Fischer's reply. c4 and g6 was played for Bobby Fischer. Game continued with knight c3 and bishop g7 was played for Bobby. White continues with grabbing the center with d4. Bobby castles, and right now white decided to play bishop f4. Now we are in King's Indian defense, a normal variation. White grabs the center and he develops his minor pieces. Bobby immediately counterattacks in the center with d5. White for now decides to that he doesn't want to pick up this pawn, and he plays queen b3, right now pressuring this pawn. Bobby is now forced to pick up this pawn, and after queen takes on c4, c6 was played for Bobby Fischer. As you can see, this pawn on c7 is really weak, and that is the reason why c6 was played. White continues with e4, another center grabbing move. Right now you see these pawns are grabbing a lot of space and white's position looks good, at least for now. So Bobby continues with knight b to d7 with the idea to move this knight on b6 and put it on much better square and also attack the queen and win a tempo. White continues with rook d1, on already slight dubious moves here, because although this move looks perfectly fine, the idea here is to put this bishop either on e2 and then castle. White still has enough time to do that, but for now white is kind of wasting his moves to put his king to safety, and this will turn fatal, as you will see later in the game. So our game continued with knight b6. As expected, Bobby develops his piece on a better square and attacks the queen. Queen c5 was played for Donald Byrne, and right now bishop g4 was played for Bobby Fischer, developing his piece on a much better square, and unfortunately for now this piece is pinned. So that is the reason maybe why rook was kind of rushed put here on d1 square. And right now bishop g5 was played for Donald Byrne. Now this is a mistake for white. I see here that in notations Fischer mentioned that actually bishop e2 was the best move for white, with the idea to just castle and not leave this king in the center of the board, because as you can see this pawn is weak and all sorts of threats are coming for white. Unfortunately he made a mistake and he played bishop g5, and immediately Fischer strikes with a knight a4. Looks like this knight is free for taking, obviously, but it's not what it looks, guys. I will of course show you. So Donald Byrne decided to play queen a3 to remove his queen from this threat. He doesn't want to take this knight that is offered for free, and I will now show you why. So after knight a4, if white decides to pick up this knight, then the game would continue with knight picking up on e4. Already the main idea for Fischer is to undermine this center and especially attack this weak king that needs at least two moves to castle, but for now it's a bit too late. So computer actually suggestion is in this position is to play bishop picking up on e7 and forking this queen and this rook. So after queen c7, the best continuation for white is actually to give up his queen and pick up this rook, and after knight picking up on c5 to pick up with your bishop, and then you have certainly black is doing better in this position. Obviously he has a material advantage, but you stopped the attack of the black's pieces, and now you can safely castle and then you can continue playing the game, although black is better. There is another option here. So after queen c7, if you decide to put up your queen on a3, for example, and you want to save your bishop, then the game would probably continue with rook a to e8. After that, white would pick up this rook, and after picking up this rook, now this white queen is under attack. White is forced to either move his queen somewhere. The best continuation for white is actually to put his queen on e3. Although it looks counterintuitive, this rook is undefended, so you cannot just move your knight somewhere. This rook will fall. If you make a mistake, I will now show you. For example, if you play something like queen d3 here, it's actually a big mistake, although it looks perfectly fine. Then the game would continue with firstly queen a5 check. And now you have to make a decision. If you put your knight on d2, then we will pick up your rook. And that's pretty much it. Your position is in ruins as white, so there's nothing you can do. You can of course pick up this this bishop, but you cannot castle, and black is ready actually to put his bishop in the game as well. Your knight is pinned, and if you pick up your of course bishop, if you pick up this black bishop, then we have a fork, so you cannot pick it up, of course. So all sorts of trouble are going for white in this position. So this is the devastation that would happen after queen d3. But if white plays queen e3, which is the best continuation here, although black is already doing better, the game would continue with bishop h6 right now, giving up this bishop for free in order to open up this e file. So white would probably force be to go back, because this is the best move. You don't want to pick up this bishop, obviously, and to open this e file. Then we continue with queen a5 check. After knight c3, we will play rook e6 just to protect this rook, because as you can see, this rook is weak here. It is not protected, so you don't have any classical openings with this knight, because this rook will fall, and with a check. The game would probably continue with rook d3 with the idea to put this rook and block this e file. After knight picking up on c3, the best continuation for white is actually to pick up this knight and to give up his queen. And after rook picking up on e2, bishop picking up on e2, and bishop f5, black is doing better, almost 2 points better in computer evaluation, but at least you didn't get checkmated and you can continue the game. So this was all the options that white had in mind in this position, and he decided not to play any of these moves. So after knight a4 and queen a3, which was played in the game, Fischer immediately exchanges this knight. After this move, game continues with bishop picking up, b taking on c3, and after that knight picks up on e4. Although this square is weak, Fischer wants to open up the center, as we talked about, and attack this really weak king here that waited for too long to castle, and right now this pawn is hanging. White sees that, obviously, and he wants to fork the two pieces. By the way, just wanted to show you, if white, for example, wanted to exchange his pieces, of course black wouldn't accept this. For example, if you play queen e7, you can even exchange here. Computer evaluation gives that you can exchange the pieces, but you can put your queen to d5, and after that rook e8 is following, and this e file would be devastating for white, obviously. Even if you exchange after rook e8, you have to move your bishop somewhere, and then we have a discovered check. So this is again devastation, just because your king is left in the center of the board. So whatever you do, nothing can help really. But white decided to pick up with his bishop, and after queen b6, obviously Fischer doesn't want to give up his queen. Bishop c4 was played in the game with the idea to kind of develop his pieces, and right now Fischer again plays knight picking up on c3, sacrificing another piece for the play in the center of the board. Game continued with bishop c5 firstly for white. So this is already looks really scary, as you can see, for white. Right now Fischer again decides to surprise his opponent, and he plays rook f to e8 firstly check, and after king moving up on f1, Fischer decided to play bishop e6. So he gives up this queen for his minor pieces. and it turned out to be a great decision because white king is so desperately bad. These rooks are not connected, and white king is so bad, and there is nothing pretty much he can do. He can only be only pray for black to make sort of mistake and to ease off his attack to maybe survive. That's how this position is bad. And our game continued with picking up this queen on b6. But I wanted to show you something else. For example, after bishop e6, if you don't want to accept this queen, and for example you play something like picking up this white bishop, that kind of eases the tension of the board. This is a horrible mistake because right now Fischer has a checkmate with two pieces, with his queen and with his knight. I'm guessing you know what is this about. If you don't know, I will definitely show you. So firstly, we will play queen b5 check. If you move your king to e1, then queen e2 is a checkmate. So you want to put your queen on. Want to put your king on g1 here. Then we continue with knight e2 check. King is forced to go on e1, on f1. Pardon me. Knight g3 check. King is again forced to go on g1 because there will be a checkmate on e2. And after king g1, we have a beautiful queen f1 check. You cannot pick up with your king, you have to pick up with your rook, and then knight e2 is checkmate, smothered mate, or Philidor's mate. So Fischer created this threat with only two of his pieces. That's how good he was, and that's how bad the position of white was. So that's a really good thing to note. So after bishop e6, there is not much you can do here. You have to accept this sacrifice here, and of course white accepted this. Bishop picking up on b6, and game continues firstly with bishop picking up on c4 check. King is forced to go on g1, knight e2 check, king f1, and right now knight picks up this on this pawn on d4 check. By the way, this is called a windmill, this tactical scenario where you just check and then discover check, check, discover check. It's a windmill. It's called in check, this tactical scenario. So after knight picking up on d4, game continued with king g1 for white. Fischer again gives a check on e2. King is forced to go on f1. Knight c3 check. Right now forking this rook here. King is forced to go on g1, and right now Fischer picks up this bishop. Firstly, this rook is also hanging, this queen is also hanging, so white is in a big sort of trouble right now, deciding what he will do. He wants to counterattack and to have some sort of counterplay, but it's too little, too late. Queen b4 with the idea to attack these two pieces. Fischer doesn't care about that. He continues with rook a4, right now offering this knight here for white. Of course, this is not good to be picked up. White decides what to do, and he picks up this pawn on b6, which is actually the best move. If you're wondering what would happen, so after rook a4, if you decide to pick up this knight here, then of course your queen will fall because this knight is protected, all of his pieces are protected. So the best move is to play queen b6 here, which is recommended by the computer, and already black is doing much better by computer evaluation. So after this, our game continued with knight picking up on d1, and right now the material is pretty much almost equal with a much better play for black. White now wants to create a sort of breathing space with h3 just to escape this first rank here if he can, but our game continues with rook picking up on a2. Fischer doesn't want to give any sort of chance to his opponent. King h2 was played for white with the idea to activate this rook finally after the move 27. Unfortunately, this is what happens when you leave your king in the middle of the board. Your rooks are not connected. After that, Fischer picks up this pawn. Rook e1 was played with the idea to at least ease attention a little bit, exchange some pieces and hope for the best, although this is a pretty much lost position for white. Rook picks up on e1, queen d8 first check for burn, bishop f8, and now knight picks up on e1. Fischer continues with bishop d5, right now aiming at this pawn when this knight is removed or put somewhere else. That is the reason why knight f3 was played, to cut off this diagonal. And black continues with knight e4, again activating his pieces and pretty much almost pinning this knight here on this spot. Queen b8 was played for Donald Byrne, trying to at least create some counterplay, but Fischer's pieces are put so well together that everything is defended and there is nothing white queen can do here. b5 was played, and as you can see, nothing for white in this position. White now plays h4, there is nothing he can do, he's pretty much in zugzwang. h5 was played for Fischer, knight e5 to basically scare Fischer off, but Fischer sees that there is nothing he can do with this sort of move. Everything is defended so good, so nothing scary about this knight jumping on here. So Fischer just plays calmly knight g7, protecting everything and waiting for white's move. White now doesn't have anything else. He plays king g1, and right now a checkmating attack occurs with bishop c5 check, king f1, and right now knight g3 was played for Bobby Fischer, forcing the king in this corner. If you go back, there will be a checkmate as well. So white king decided to go on e1, and there is nothing else he can go, nowhere else he can go. Game continues with bishop b4 check, king d1, bishop b3 cutting the space from the white king, king c1, knight e2 check, king b1, knight c3 check, and the only remaining square is c1, and Fischer finishes the game with beautiful rook c2 checkmate. And this is how this game ended, and this is everything I prepared for you today. I really hope you enjoyed this game. If you did, again, please make sure to leave a comment, like and share. Hopefully you had some nice things to think about in your future chess games. And as you saw, it's really important to keep your king safe and to castle your king and not keep it in the middle of the board. This goes for pretty much all levels of chess players, because if your king is left in the center of the board, kind of things like you saw in this game could happen. And yeah, this was all for today's game, guys. We will see each other in the next video. Have a nice evening. Bye bye.